Welcome. NTD Good Morning starts now. 2 National Guard soldiers are in critical condition after being shot near the White House. President Trump and others calling out the Biden administration over an Afghan settlement program with an Afghan suspect in custody. The death toll from a massive fire at a Hong Kong apartment complex has risen to more than 50. Crews are still fighting the blaze and searching for survivors. Authorities have made 3 arrests so far. The weather could play spoilsport over the Thanksgiving holiday. Winter storms and snow. What the forecast looks like as the country gears up for one of the busiest holiday travel seasons on record. And the big day is here. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Friends and families gathering to watch the iconic balloon rise as longtime New York City tradition continues. The city beefing up its security. What's in place to keep New Yorkers safe? Meanwhile, runners and walkers are out on Freedom Plaza in Washington, D.C. this morning, gearing up for the annual Turkey Trot. We'll take you right there.
This is NTD Good Morning, live from our global headquarters in New York City. Here are Stephanie Cox and Carrie Dunst.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Today is Thursday, November 27th. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. You're watching NTD Good Morning. We're starting with some breaking news. An Afghan national is now in custody after allegedly opening fire on 2 National Guard troops near the White House. The victims remain in critical condition. NTD's Daniel Monahan reports on what officials are calling a targeted attack.
FBI Director Kash Patel called the attack a horrendous act of violence and vowed to use every available resource
to make sure we find and safeguard our nation's capital right here in Washington, D.C., and bring anyone responsible for this heinous act of violence to justice.
The Metropolitan Police say the incident unfolded at around 2:15 in the afternoon.
When a suspect came around the corner, raised his arm with a firearm and discharged it at the National Guard members.
Other Guard members were nearby.
They heard the gunfire. They actually were able to intervene and to kind of hold down the suspect after he had been shot on the ground until law enforcement got there within moments.
What we know, Andrea, is that this is a targeted shooting. One individual who appeared to target these guardsmen, that individual has been taken into custody.
National Guard members gathered in prayer outside the ER after the shooting. National Guard Bureau Chief Stephen Nordhaus reacted to the targeted attack.
SEA Raines and I join our entire National Guard family in praying for the recovery of 2 West Virginia National Guard heroes who were shot while protecting our nation's capital today.
President Trump addressed the nation after the shooting.
This heinous assault was an act of evil, an act of hatred, and an act of terror. It was a crime against our entire nation.
And vowed to leave no stone unturned.
We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden, and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them.
Trump expressed what he called his extraordinary gratitude to all members of the military deployed at home and abroad and vowed a steely resolve.
America will never bend and never yield in the face of terror. And at the same time, we will not be deterred from the mission these service members were so nobly fulfilling.
The suspect is Ramanullah Lakamal. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said he was among the Afghans mass paroled into the U.S. under Operation Allies Welcome in 2021. Noem criticized the program as having allowed in thousands of unvetted Afghan nationals, including terrorists. The Biden administration said the program was intended to support what it called vulnerable Afghans, including those who worked alongside the U.S. in Afghanistan. Former Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said the U.S. was duty-bound to offer them a home. Citizenship and Immigration Services stopped the processing of all immigration requests relating to Afghan nationals effective immediately. It said all activity will be suspended indefinitely, pending further review of security and vetting protocols. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
The Pentagon says it's ordering 500 more National Guard troops into Washington, D.C. following yesterday's shooting. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says the deployment comes at President Trump's request.
In fact, this happened just steps away from the White House. It will not stand. And that's why President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary of the Army to the National Guard, to add 500 additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C. This will only stiffen our resolve to ensure that we make Washington, D.C. safe and beautiful.
Today, as Americans come together to celebrate Thanksgiving, the men and women of our nation's military remain in service both at home and abroad.
This month, we're coming to you from Yokosuka, Japan, sharing a meal with some of our outstanding sailors who are standing watch far from home. While many Americans are gathering with their families around the table to celebrate the holidays, these men and women are serving forward, protecting our nation, strengthening our alliances, and keeping the seas safe. These holiday meals may look a little different, but the spirit is the same. It's the spirit of service, camaraderie, and of being part of something bigger than ourselves.
Vice President J.D. Vance, a Marine veteran himself, served meals to soldiers and Army families at Fort Campbell, located between the Kentucky-Tennessee border. Vance brought reinforcements. Second Lady Usha Vance and their children pitched in with a helping hand as well. At Camp Casey in South Korea, U.S. Army soldiers celebrated with a nice meal. Soldiers at Camp Humphreys in South Korea also joined in the festivities. Camp Humphreys leaders joined together to serve Thanksgiving meals to the men and women in uniform. And another New York City tradition for Thanksgiving, the giant balloon inflation on the eve of the parade. NTD Sean Marshall was there.
There are 34 balloons this year at Macy's Thanksgiving Eve Parade Balloon Inflation Event, along with 28 floats, 28 performers, and 11 marching bands, and a ton of other assorted parade entertainment.
Today is the day before our 99th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and here we are on the Upper West Side having an opportunity to get all of our balloons that are going to fly high tomorrow in our Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It's our opportunity to inflate, not only inflate the balloons, but also share this big spectacle, this New York City icon, this destination for all families here on the Upper West Side the day before our fantastic parade tomorrow morning.
In the past, the balloon inflations were done mostly at night, perhaps so children wouldn't cry when seeing their favorite cartoon character flat on the ground. But now it's a fun event the whole family can enjoy. Some people actually enjoy the balloon inflation more than the parade itself. This year's should be a great one as usual.
I like turkey. No, I am. Turkey. No, I am. I'm gonna watch
So, what's your favorite balloon?
Snoopy. The Kung Fu guy over there. Right, Snoopy.
Oh, to start, I definitely have to ask what your favorite balloon is.
It's the Pikachu and Eevee in the toboggan.
This year, new featured character balloons include Buzz Lightyear, Pac-Man, Shrek's Onion Carriage, Mario, and Derpy Tiger from K-pop Demon Hunters. Of course, the longtime favorites will be back like Pikachu, Goku from Dragon Ball Z, and Snoopy.
It's been 52 years since I've been to my last parade. I'm 60 years old now. We lived in Roslyn in Long Island, and my dad used to take us every year. But like I said, it's been 52 years since I've been back here. So it's a great thing to come back here and see all the floats and all the technology, how it changed everything. So it's good to be back here in New York.
It's so fun. I mean, it's a long line, but it's well worth it. It's very joyful. You get to see every single balloon, which you might not get to see if you're here for the actual parade tomorrow. Or, and then the scale of them, it's just like makes you very happy to see it all in person. They're just so huge, and you just get to get up close and personal with it, and everybody's in a great mood for the holidays, and it's just very fun. It's a great way to kick off the Thanksgiving week and weekend.
Last year was pretty cold and rainy for the parade, but this year it should be a lot drier. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
And as millions of people are expected to line the streets for the Macy's 99th Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City today in the wake of the shooting in D.C., city officials say their top priority is making sure everyone can celebrate safely. Here's more on that.
On the eve of one of New York City's biggest traditions, Mayor Eric Adams opened Wednesday's briefing with a moment of reflection. He acknowledged the shooting of 2 National Guard members in Washington, D.C.
Before we start the press conference, we just want to have a moment of reflection on two National Guardsmen and women who were shot in Washington, D.C.
With more than 3.5 million people expected along the parade route, the mayor urged spectators to stay aware and speak up if they see anything unusual.
See something, say something, do something, notify the men and women who will be along the parade route, our police uniform.
Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch said there are no known threats to the parade.
First, we can tell you that at this time, there are no known specific credible threats to the parade. But as always, New Yorkers will see an increased police presence with thousands of NYPD officers posted along the 2.5-mile parade route and on the surrounding blocks.
Tisch said they would be supported by drones, emergency teams, the bomb squad, and K-9 units. Tisch said teams will be watching social media activity with officers ready to respond quickly to any disruptions.
Intelligence teams will also be analyzing social media for potential threats, and response units will be deployed citywide to investigate any reports in real time.
The commissioner also noted that nationwide attacks on law enforcement are on the rise, and that Wednesday's attack in D.C. has been factored into the city's planning.
Unfortunately, what happened in the last few hours is one attack in a growing number of attacks against law enforcement across the country. So the type of thing that we saw in Washington, D.C., tragic, that type of planning has been built into our plans for deployment tomorrow.
To keep crowds moving safely, the city is creating a restricted zone around the parade route from Central Park to Midtown. Despite the increased security, today will be about celebration. 5,000 volunteers, 34 balloons, 28 floats, 700 clowns, and 11 marching bands will come together to bring holiday cheer to millions. The parade's executive producer, Will Cross, talked about the significance of the moment.
As Santa crosses 34th Street, we officially, as Mayor Adams mentioned, welcome the holiday season together.
And to make room for all those floats and balloons, the New York City Department of Transportation spent Wednesday night moving traffic lights temporarily out of the way along the route. The parade kicks off at 8:30 a.m. Eastern.
On to the weather, where there's bad news for travelers this Thanksgiving. Forecasters warn a powerful storm system will blanket the northern plains and Great Lakes with heavy snow over the holiday. Winter storm warnings are in place from Minnesota to Michigan, with some areas expecting more than a foot of snow and blizzard conditions. The National Weather Service says the system is a deep and fairly intense cyclone. Lake effect snow is expected to intensify today, with communities downwind of the Great Lakes bracing for heavy accumulations through tomorrow. The storm threatens one of the busiest travel weekends on record, as more than 80 million Americans are expected to hit the roads and skies for Thanksgiving.
Today, a winter storm system that hit Minnesota and North Dakota is wreaking havoc around the Great Lakes. Meteorologists say a winter cyclone is causing blizzard conditions in some areas. It's also creating a rare chance of thunder snow. The weather's affecting Thanksgiving travel in Michigan.
You know, you definitely have to pull into directions because that wind will take you right off into a ditch if you don't.
A first responder near Fargo says he's reminded of the need to drive safely after this sliding truck narrowly missed him this week.
Help us to get home safely to our families on there. So a lot of us are volunteers or first responders out there that are risking our lives to help others. So at least do us that courtesy, just slow down.
The National Weather Service says parts of Fargo got more than 5 inches of snow.
With that wind, it kind of piled up on the avenues. The streets are favoring a little better.
In Minnesota, officials say a 69-year-old man is dead after a snow-covered tree fell on him yesterday.
It actually did not snap off due to the weight. It actually uprooted from the ground while he was snowblowing.
Meanwhile, forecasters say a second storm system is in the Pacific Northwest and in many states.
It is going to feel bitter cold for a lot of areas, even all the way down to the Gulf Coast.
Up ahead, crews continue to battle a massive fire at a Hong Kong apartment block. The death toll now rising to more than 50 as 3 suspects have been arrested. That story and more ahead. Welcome back to NTD Good Morning. Now to Hong Kong, where authorities say 3 people have been arrested in connection with the deadly Tai Po housing estate fire. The death toll has risen sharply, now reaching 55. As recovery and rescue operations continue, many residents still don't know if they can ever return home.
We bought this apartment more than 20 years ago. All of our belongings were in this apartment. And now that it is all burned like this, what's left? There's nothing left. What are we supposed to do? Now the fire of Block 3 has subsided, but Block 1 is still on fire. I do not know if I can return home tonight.
Actually, our major challenge is the temperature is very high in the fire ground, and the inside layout is very complex because the scaffolding is collapsed.
We have reason to believe that the company's responsible parties were grossly negligent, which led to this accident and caused the fire to spread uncontrollably, resulting in major casualties.
Police say they've arrested 2 directors from the construction company and an engineering consultant on suspicion of manslaughter. Officials say dozens of people were found dead at the scene, with more victims pronounced dead at the hospital. They say the blaze spread rapidly across 7 towers, fueled by flammable renovation materials. Police say the buildings were covered with bamboo scaffolding, protective mesh sheets, and plastic that did not meet fire standards. And windows on one unaffected building were found to have been sealed with a foam material that could easily catch fire. Rescue crews say intense heat is making it harder to reach the upper floors of 2 of the buildings. The fire department says 1 firefighter has died in the line of duty. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he believes the U.S. understands the complexity involved in reaching a peace settlement in Ukraine. This comes as the European Union says Russia's military must be curbed to stop the fighting. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pazdar has more.
Russian President Vladimir Putin sitting down with ally Alexander Lukashenko, the president of Belarus. The two talked about the U.S. effort to stop the fighting in Ukraine.
I'll say publicly now what I told the Americans before. If they are delicate and understand that this is a complex matter that requires complex decisions.
I think they do understand this, but we'll talk about it in more detail now.
Before President Trump returned to office, Putin repeatedly said that relations with the U.S. were at the lowest point since the Cold War. The Kremlin now says efforts to normalize diplomatic relations with Washington continue.
Our relationship with the U.S. is still at the early stages of normalization, and the overall success of this process is not guaranteed.
He praised the fact that the U.S. has been listening to Russia's demands in the peace process, but added that at the same time, the U.S. still sends weapons and other support to Ukraine. Another Russian official says Moscow hasn't discussed the details of the latest U.S.-drafted peace plan yet. That's despite a Tuesday meeting in Abu Dhabi between American and Russian officials.
The peace plan hasn't been discussed in Abu Dhabi. The peace plan hasn't been discussed in detail with anyone yet. We have seen it. It has been handed over to us. But there has been no discussion yet.
He added that Moscow saw only a copy of the proposals and has yet to receive the document through official channels. The foreign policy chief of the European Union says Russia is not truly seeking peace. According to her, Moscow still tries to gain time by negotiating with the US. She now wants to forcibly curb Russia's military.
If we want to prevent this war to continue, then actually we should, curb the army of Russia and also their military budget.
She added that Europe has to send a signal that changing borders by force and starting wars doesn't pay off. And NATO and Ukraine announced a joint initiative to accelerate defense innovation. The initiative will be called Unite Brave NATO. Teams of allied and Ukrainian companies will be eligible for grants worth over $10 million. The first competition will be to counter unmanned aerial systems, strengthen air defense, and secure frontline communications. After a successful pilot competition, NATO and Ukraine plan to increase funding to over $50 million. Arian Pastar, NTD News.
And joining us now to discuss the latest efforts to end the Russia-Ukraine war is former Elite Intelligence, Surveillance and Reconnaissance Coordinator in the U.S. Army, Kevin O'Coin. Kevin, happy Thanksgiving. Good to have you with us this morning.
Happy Thanksgiving to you guys and to everybody who is serving overseas without their families right now. Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Yes, many men and women out there. Now, on this effort, from your read, is Moscow genuinely engaging with President Trump's latest peace framework, or is it just buying time?
Yeah, I think unfortunately both things are true at the same time here. They are genuinely negotiating a peace deal, but a peace deal that is on their terms, that the Russian President Vladimir Putin can take back to the Russian people and say, look, we've gained victory in Ukraine. Now, President Putin tried to quickly do this in 2022 in the initial invasion, when they had the push for Kyiv. That was a disaster. And so that started a timeline here that we're on right now, where a peace deal is not going to be a victory for Russia in all of Ukraine. It is going to have to be something that Putin can take back to the Russian people, that, look, we've got Donetsk, we've got Luhansk, our borders have moved, and look what we achieved. Because once this is over, the Russian economy is likely to collapse. And so that is something that Russia's going to have to push for economically to sustain themselves, if they're going to agree with any of this. So right now, there is no timeline that I have right now where they would agree to anything that's within this 28-point plan.
Wow, that's a stark assessment. Now, Russia's deputy foreign minister says ties with Washington are in the early stages of normalization. Of course, the U.S. is still sending weapons meant for Ukraine. How should viewers understand those parallel events and that talk from the Kremlin?
Right, it's quite a dichotomy there. So you've got on one side a U.S. president that many on the left, many of his opposition believe is a Russian plant. As someone who was in an overt anti-Russian campaign during the Trump administration, that's not the side that I sit on here. But you do have some within the administration. That conversation that was leaked by Witkoff, that's troubling. Now, I get it. That is typical when you're doing negotiations with a side. You're not going to call them out in front of them. You're going to try to talk to them and gain favor with that side, right? So while that is a very troubling conversation that we've all seen, it's not something that doesn't happen day in and day out. And on the other side, you have a U.S. military that is still providing intelligence to Ukraine. You have the U.S. government who is still sending supplies to Ukraine. So where are the relations going to be in a few months from now? That's what I'm looking towards. Part of this peace plan says that we are going to normalize. The U.S. will normalize relations with Russia, but let's see if that stays in the plan as they come together here.
And from the EU's perspective, we just heard the top diplomat saying the only way to stop this war is to curb Russia's army and its military budget. But in practical terms, what more can Europe actually do on sanctions or military pressure?
Yeah, well, first of all, I always say that sanctions just are not working. They don't tend to work. They are they are too forward thinking, or I should say they're looking too far into the future with sanctions. They don't do anything in the here and now. NATO needs to provide tangible protections to Ukraine. These vague statements of "we'll support you" and just sending munitions and money without, any thought to what they're going to do. NATO's got to get involved. If they want this to end, if they want Russia to lose this war in Ukraine, they're going to have to get involved. The unfortunate part of this is that if NATO gets involved, you're playing into Putin's hand. This is what he wants. so that he can send the full force of the Russian military. He can get Belarus involved and have this conflict against NATO that he will then say, look, world, to the global community, it is NATO who is the aggressor, not us.
And just lastly, Kervin, how do you assess this new Unite Brave NATO defense program, which starts with sending counter drones and strengthening air defense and frontline communications for Ukraine?
Yeah, I think it's a great first step, and it's not just about sending the munitions and the counter drone to Ukraine. It is the lessons learned that come out of that, that NATO, that the EU, get the United States involved to be trained on these. And you gain lessons learned out of it, and you become more, you become better at using the technology. This is something that's going to be used not to continue to bring up the what's going to happen with China and Taiwan, as I tend to do on these a lot. But look, if China decides to go into Taiwan, the U.S. will defend Taiwan. That means there's going to be a war, a conflict, and we're going to need to understand how to use these new technologies, counter drone, drone swarms, AI, all of these new technologies that we have yet to use in a mass war. We're going to need to understand them so that we can effectively defend ourselves and fight back against aggression.
May we not need to reach that day and that occurrence, but looking forward to looking at more insights on that front with you as well, Kervin Aucoin. Thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving again.
Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving, and as always, stay safe out there.
Thank you. Next, President Trump has signaled he's willing to talk to Nicolas Maduro as pressure increases on the Venezuelan regime. Our Washington correspondent Luis Eduardo Martinez has more on this story.
The U.S. has designated the Cartel de los Soles, or Cartel of the Suns, as a foreign terrorist organization. President Trump has ordered the military to ready plans for strikes inside Venezuela and instructed the CIA to also come with plans for covert operations inside the country. But President Trump has also left the door open for negotiations with the regime of Nicolás Maduro.
Maduro, the U.S. designated him the leader of this foreign terrorist organization. Why do you want to talk to him if he's the leader?
If we can save lives, if we can do things the easy way, that's fine. And if we have to do it the hard way, that's fine too.
Regional allies of Nicolás Maduro have begun turning their backs on him. Until recently, Colombian President Gustavo Petro had denounced the United States and shown support for Nicolás Maduro, but has now switched his narrative to admitting that Venezuela is not a democracy.
Maduro's problem is called democracy, and I recognize it like this: lack of democracy and dialogue. No Colombian investigation, and this is independent of the president and carried out in years that I have not been president, shows us a relationship between Colombian drug trafficking and Maduro.
Nicolás Maduro has remained publicly defiant. He has deployed the military and militias nationwide, and holding a replica sword of Simón Bolívar, has asked his followers to defend the country and his regime against foreign threats.
No hay excusa para nadie.
There is no excuse for anyone to fail at this decisive moment for the existence of the Republic. No excuse for anyone, whether civilian, politician, military, or police. Let no one make excuses. Failure is not an option. The homeland demands it, our greatest effort and sacrifice. And with Simón Bolívar, I come to say that if the homeland demands it, the homeland will have our lives, if necessary.
Since Nicolás Maduro took power over 10 years ago, 1/3 of the Venezuelan population has fled the country. Some 8,000 civilians have been murdered by the regime for resisting its authority. And it's also important to note that 1/3 of the total cocaine that it's smuggled into the United States from Latin America comes through Venezuela, facilitated by the Cartel of the Suns, which uses military installations in the country to traffic illegal drugs into the U.S. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Luis Eduardo Martinez, NTD News.
Thank you, Luis. And still to come, a major redistricting decision in North Carolina. A 3-judge panel has cleared the state to use its newly redrawn congressional map for the 2026 elections.
Comes
ICE
as the Trump
workers
administration
received
has been
messages of
carrying.
praise and thanks from numerous members of Congress in a video shared on social media just before Thanksgiving. Those stories and more up ahead. Welcome back. If you're just joining us now, here are some of today's top headlines. 2 National Guard soldiers are in critical condition after being shot near the White House in what officials are calling a targeted attack. The suspect, an Afghan national, was wounded and taken into custody. National Guard leaders and President Trump offered prayers for the victims. Meanwhile, the administration halted all immigration proceedings for Afghan nationals pending new security reviews. And Hong Kong officials say the death toll from the Tai Po housing estate fire has now climbed to 55. Rescue crews are still battling intense heat as they search for survivors. Police have arrested 3 people on suspicion of manslaughter. They worked for the construction company performing renovations on the buildings. Officials say the use of flammable materials helped spread the fire. And forecasters warn that a powerful storm system will blanket the northern plains and Great Lakes with heavy snow over the holiday, with a second storm system brewing in the Pacific Northwest. Winter storm warnings are in place from Minnesota to Michigan, with some areas expecting more than a foot of snow. The storm threatens one of the busiest travel weekends on record, as more than 80 million Americans are expected to hit the roads and skies for Thanksgiving. And millions are expected at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and New York City is ramping up security to keep them safe. Mayor Eric Adams is urging parade goers to stay alert. The NYPD commissioner says there are no known credible threats, but thousands of officers, drones, canine units, and emergency teams will line the route, with social media monitored in real time. And a debate is heating up ahead of Thanksgiving. Families across the country are voicing their opinions about which traditional pie is best for the holiday. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more on their favorites.
They're arguably 2 of the most popular Thanksgiving desserts, pumpkin pie and sweet potato pie. Sugar Magnolia Takery owner Elizabeth Arnold makes both.
I would say the main difference is like the spice. So sweet potato is a lot sweeter. It has white sugar, brown sugar, and then the pumpkin pie is less sweet and more spicy.
Many stick to their favorites every Thanksgiving. Customer Joan Stringer prefers sweet.
Sweet potato pie. It's one that I make, it never fails, and my family loves it.
The 2 Thanksgiving favorites have more in common than not. They're similar in color, taste, and texture. Those similarities make them all the easier to compare, but they each have their staunch supporters. Lori Robinson says her family's choice is about nostalgia and tradition.
Pumpkin. I grew up eating it. My mom cooks it every Thanksgiving, Christmas, every time. So yeah, it's way better than sweet potato.
Sweet tooths might decide to have both sweet and pumpkin at their Thanksgiving tables. Graydon Smith says he doesn't have a favorite.
I really like them both. I'd probably have to flip a coin.
The debate is likely to continue, but pie isn't just for the holidays, so there's plenty of time to try both. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
And we're joined live by NTD reporter Kevin Hogan, who's on the ground out there right now. Good morning, Kevin. Good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving. It looks very cold out there. I know there are millions of people coming out to watch the parade today. How are people watching out for each other today?
Well, Steph, I'm here on 77th in Central Park West, and I just spoke with a former Rockette. It's actually the Rockettes' 100th anniversary, and she knows what goes into that performance. And she told me that people today, you can actually feel it. They're leading with their hearts. There are so many acts of compassion taking place today. For example, if someone has an emergency, or if someone has some special needs, or someone gets hurt, pockets in the crowd just open up immediately, and EMTs are able to rush in and get that person the medical care they need. The police are keeping a watchful eye on the crowds to make sure that everything is calm and secure today. It's absolutely a grand display of people thinking about the ones around them as we all enjoy this monumental moment.
Oh, it's beautiful. I can see some of the parades the floats happening on behind you. That's just looking wonderful. How are the crowds looking right now, Kevin?
Well, Steph, the crowds are so thick in some places that you can't even move 1 inch. I'll give you an example. If you were to get out at the A train stop at 72nd, you can't even get out of the subway. It's a complete gridlock because it's a total bottleneck. And then when you get out on the street, it's absolutely, completely packed. These crowds are absolutely insane. I mean, you got people coming from all over to witness just everything that's happening on this extraordinary day.
Yeah, millions of people. That is quite a crowd. How excited are our spectators right now? There must be so much excitement there.
Absolutely, Steph. You talk about dedication. There are kids, some 10 years old or maybe younger, that are out here braving the cold to experience this Mario, Dora, soaring down the street, large as life, a life-changing experience, really. And you have elderly people staking out their spot in their lawn chairs since 4 a.m. so that they make sure they get a spot at the front row to witness what is really now just becoming an altogether exceptional day.
Yeah, it's great to see so many people excited for this parade and hear them as well, all in unison there cheering. So many kinds of great floats, already looking at some behind you. What kind of preparations went into this parade?
Well, we spoke to some of the performers here. I mean, some of them have really wild costumes, yellow hair, purple hair. But some of them say that the preparation for this parade takes months. And others say that it's all year long that they prepare for this. I mean, you have people holding down the floats, the marching band, all of the moving parts, the security, everything that goes into this. It's not just like they just show up and put this on. This is an all-year effort for this performance.
And with an adoring crowd to finally receive them at this very special day. Happy Thanksgiving, Kevin. Stay safe out there and stay warm. Good to see you. All right. After the break, we'll take you right to the scene. And the Olympic flame for the 2026 Winter Olympics has begun its journey. The ceremony at ancient Olympia kicked off the countdown to the February Games in Italy. Those stories after this. Welcome back. If you're planning to run errands on Thanksgiving, here's a look at what will and won't be open. Government offices, post offices, courts, and schools are all closed for the holiday. Banks and stock markets will also be closed today, reopening tomorrow for a shortened trading session. Standard FedEx and UPS services will pause for the day, though some critical deliveries will still operate at select locations. Most major retailers, including Walmart, Target, Macy's, Kohl's, and Costco, will stay closed today but plan to open early tomorrow on Black Friday. CVS will close early on Thanksgiving. You can call your local store or check store and pharmacy hours on the CVS Pharmacy website. And on this holiday morning, the nation's capital is filled with a sea of people who've come to join the annual turkey trot. Runners and walkers are warming up their legs with the race set to begin in the next few moments. And as you've been watching, Melina Weisskopf is on the ground joining us live. Melina, looks great out there. What's the atmosphere like?
Hey, good morning, Steph. It is quite cold here in Washington, D.C. on this Thanksgiving morning, but that hasn't stopped people from coming out. They're warming up, stretching, getting ready at the start line over there. Energy is high at this event, as it is for all of these types of events, but even more so today, we know, because, of course, it's Thanksgiving. People have that holiday spirit in them. People are flaunting, costumes as turkeys and turkey hats and children out here. It's just really great to see everybody come out and join this event today. This is the largest largest turkey trot here in the D.C. area. You have people that have traveled from all over the country as well as the world. I heard the man over on the speaker earlier saying that somebody traveled from Scotland here. Many people like to come here and visit their family members, you know, and, really enjoy a morning race before they have a Thanksgiving feast in the afternoon. We'll show you, how many people are actually lining up over there at that starting line. If you look over here to the right of me, there's a ton of people over here lining up, getting ready to start this race today. And people also feel extra good about the cause of this event. So the proceeds and the money from this race goes to an organization called SOME. This is So Others Might Eat. It's to help break the cycle of poverty and homelessness here in the Washington, D.C. area. So it's a great tradition, a great way to give back for people here in the community, Steph.
Right, Melina, so speaking of tradition, that's what this day is all about, right? And reporting on these races is a bit of a tradition for you too. You're always out at these races during the holidays.
Yeah, I really find this so fun, Yeah, definitely. Before I even reported, I always would go to these types of events with my family members. We would go every year to a turkey trot. I'm from Georgia, so we would join them in Georgia. And since I started at NTD, I've been coming out doing these during Thanksgiving, really just enjoying the atmosphere. Even though I can't join the race anymore, I'm reporting instead. But it's nice to see things from the other side of the camera. And even today, I brought my family here with me. My husband's there behind the camera. We have my daughter right here beside us. She's joining her first ever turkey trot race. She had to wake up very early, so she might be a little bit grouchy. How are you? You good? You having a good day? She said she wants mommy. So in just a minute, I gotta pick her up and show her around to keep the baby happy.
Oh, it's all about family, right? That's great to see you all out there. And thanks for coming on Thanksgiving. And as the holiday season gets underway across North America, Canada's longest running Santa Claus Parade just celebrated its 73rd edition. In downtown Montreal, about 1,500 performers took part in this year's event, bringing music, floats, and festive cheer to the streets. Let's take a look.
Colorful Christmas floats, dancing elves, and lively cartoon characters filled the streets, dancing to upbeat music and cheerful energy that kept spectators captivated. One of this year's highlights was world boxing champion Kim Clavel, who appeared as the parade's Starlight Fairy, drawing cheers from the crowd.
So this is the third year that I come to see it, and it's really fun. It's really like it feels like a dream. Like you have princess, and then you have a little kid that dance around and everything. It's really cute, really fun.
It's great to see all the families and all the little kids enjoying the Christmas parade for sure.
It was a nice program. They loved the experience. We take lots of videos and photos, and I wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
The audience was deeply impressed by the organized procession, musical percussion, and the grandeur of the Tianguo marching band.
Found that was a practice of truth, compassion, and forbearance, and when all those three things are in your daily life, you can feel how they amplify all the best parts of you. And it's a great opportunity to participate and send our message to the audience here.
Oui, c'était vraiment une synchronisation parfaite. C'était vraiment très joli à voir.
Yeah, I filmed that. It was really impressive. Like, I think it was the most impressed. I was impressed. Really, they were really synchronized. The costumes were really pretty. It was really, really good. Like, I hope I see them next year if I'm still in Montreal.
I've been in the Tianguo band for over 20 years now, and we travel to parades around the whole country and actually Canada too. And this is one of our favorite parades. The energy at this parade is great. Everybody's extremely friendly, very excited to be here.
And how the reindeer love him. Santa Claus arrived on a reindeer-themed float, drawing cheers as the colorful parade brought together people of all backgrounds, sharing joy, celebration, and holiday blessings. NTD News, Canada.
And the holiday spirit has arrived in eastern France. Visitors gathered to see Strasbourg's 100-foot Christmas tree light up, kicking off the festive season there.
The different areas of Strasbourg's Christmas market contain more than 300 vendor stalls where visitors can enjoy mulled wine and shop for holiday presents.
And honestly, this year's Strasbourg has really outdone itself with the decorations and everything. It's so beautiful. We can't wait to see the lights. Yes, the Christmas tree theme too, and the Advent wreath. That's such a great idea. We've been waiting for this for a while now.
Well, the lighting of the tree is simply magnificent. It's a true symbol of the festivities, a symbol of pride for Strasbourg. Many people from Strasbourg look forward to this moment, and visitors from all over the world admire this Christmas tree. It's truly beautiful.
Being from Mexico, I think Strasbourg is a famous place you can go to see the best Christmas market in the world. I've seen it categorized of that, and now that I have come, I think it is very accurate to say that it is the best Christmas market in the world.
Strasbourg's Christmas market is one of the most visited in Europe. In 2024, it attracted a record of 3.4 million visitors to share the holiday spirit.
If you have any feedback on our show or have something you'd like to see us cover, send us an email at goodmorning@ntd.com. We'd love to hear from you. And for round-the-clock original news coverage, watch us live at ntd.com/live or download our NTD app. I'm Stephanie Cox. Happy Thanksgiving to you all.